5G, Pizzagate, Flat Earthers, TikTok, QAnon.
Howdy everyone! I have a question. Do you have an answer? Why do we believe in conspiracy theories? Every day we are bombarded with news, and often some of it has no explanation of its source or which parts are omitted. Sometimes they give rise to the creation of alternative realities produced by our minds that are always looking for something mysterious, anomalous, or extravagant. So let's start this investigation that Bunny will bring this conspiracy theory about conspiracy theories to you today.
We usually base our existence on facts, incontrovertible evidence that guide us to reach our goals, to clarify our ideas, and to live in a world that is not the fruit of our imagination, or so we think. But what happens when, instead, we are convinced of a theory that cannot be scientifically proven? Why are we sometimes victims of assuming that the truth is different from what the mainstream media reports? Why are we so fascinated by looking for an alternative, and most of the time, absurd answer instead of accepting reality for what it is? Clearly, doubt has at times in history produced unexpected discoveries. Like the Italian mathematician, physicist, and philosopher Galileo Galilei, and his claim, eppur si muove, i.e., albeit it does move, in reference to the Earth moving, not the Sun. But the conspiracy theories that we find on social media today, which are the major promoters of alternative realities, are certainly not a dubious path that can lead us to the development of a new scientific discovery. Let's say that one day in the distant future, we woke up one morning and a terrible pandemic forced us to stay at home. Now, locked up in our home, we start thinking that reality is different from what it appears to be. But also, without a pandemic, conspiracy theories have always been a much debated topic, and the real power of these theories is that when you try to dispel them, you find yourself against a wall where you're accused of being part of the system and wanting to cover up the truth. This happens in every debate, from the supporters of Flat Earth to the conspiracy theorists of COVID-19. It's amazing how in 2020, with all the information just a click away, there are people who continue to believe in an alternate reality without having any evidence to support their theory. The internet spreads disinformation, misunderstandings, and outlandish ideas instead of supporting science and culture. This probably happens very easily when you're dealing with an algorithm that only wants to promote the news and videos that attract attention at all costs, without the possibility of having the content of videos and the information contained within it under control. So we often get scientific videos like those of Thunderfoot, which debunk conspiracy theories about the pandemic, and then they get tagged as disinformation and censored by the algorithm. This shows how the whole system is in crisis. From algorithms created with the sole purpose of attaching users to screens, just to monetize each view with ads, to a deep and rooted crisis in American society, causing a loss of respect for the press and institutions. Conspiracy theories are based on discrediting institutions and the people who are a part of them. Casting shadows on politicians or entrepreneurs is the best weapon to undermine what is called the establishment. It is no coincidence that the first time the Republican Party supported a president who is claimed to be anti-establishment and probably even fundamentally against the party itself, which is really crazy when you consider that most Republican leaders now find themselves having to support a president who undermines the very roots of the party every day. The protests in the streets by Black Lives Matter is a movement that represents the malaise of the nation, and although born from an idea of equality, they have instead shown to become, in some cases, an outlet of anger and violence, just like the violence that can be found in posts on social media. The conspiracy theorists, especially protected by anonymity, do not miss the opportunity to lash out violently against anyone who tries to discern the truth. Probably because these people are no longer looking for a rational truth, but only to feel like they are part of a few who are in the know. Having so many rampant conspiracy theories means that the education system is in crisis, that the logic on which we base our daily actions is in crisis, that an objective reality is so unsustainable that creating an even more dramatic world creates a view that the world is even more frightening than it truly is. Basically, they are trying to make sense out of a world that is otherwise confusing. The history of conspiracy is ancient. One of the earliest documented cases in which the so-called conspiracy theory became an explicit and conscious political method, useful for justifying one's political actions, was that of the French Revolution in 1789, and the following years, during the so-called Period of Terror, but that could be the subject of an entire video. Are we living in a new time of terror? We have to admit that there are indeed actual conspiracies, and that not everything in the mainstream and what the scientific consensus concludes is the truth. However, at some point, one may have to ask themselves if the reason they believe what they believe is a good reason in the first place. It is okay, after all, to say, I don't know. Or, what if all these conspiracy theories being spread around is just another conspiracy? Well, it's just a theory. Leave a comment now, your opinion matters. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more strange news stories told by an alien and her imaginary friend. A pair that otherwise can't be found anywhere. You might like to take a look at this other video about QAnon, so click the card or the link in the description. Also, if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can find the link in the description as well as our store.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't, press thumbs down twice, just to be sure. Take it easy. Oh, by the way, I'm an alien. But not that kind of alien.
Conspiracy theory about conspiracy theories.